Any questions? Written question? Verbal question? Oh, there. Yes.
A very good afternoon. Thanks to His Holiness for such an enlightening talk. As you talked about problem, that no one wants a problem, but to His Holiness, with all reverence, I want to ask that, don't you think one resents to non-violence to solve one's particular problem? Because in our present-day world, no one is ready to listen to you unless and until you go for non-violence. And as Mahatma Gandhi has said, it's better to be violent if there is violence in your hearts than to put on the cloak of non-violence to cover the impotence. My second question is regarding the approach. So you talked about approach. So how to approach to the problem solver? For example, in Indian context, I'll talk about the Northeast states and the Jammu and Kashmir state of India. So how should they approach to the government to solve their particular problem? Thank you very much.
That's good question. So, if you have 100% conviction through violence can achieve your goal, then okay. But when we develop anger, fully develop, then some kind of over self-confidence, and anger brought some kind of blind energy. At that moment, you see, as I mentioned earlier, the proper sort of the judgment about reality no longer carry properly. So therefore, I think many wrong decisions, government level or company level or the family level, I think many the wrong decision actually, I believe, you see, carried when the decision maker's mind not properly balanced. Either too much attachment or anger. So therefore, I think if you analyze properly, small matter, like when you are sleep, sound, peaceful sleep, some mosquito come, then a little bit violent action maybe solve the problem. More serious problem through violence, roughly, maybe some exceptions, but generally speaking, I think never solve the problem. That's my belief. So better, no matter how sort of difficult it is mentally, you must sort of resist committing violence. Clear? I think one sort of was the one aspect like that. One aspect of violence is unpredictable. Once you committed violence, the side effect often very negative. I often used to telling publicly the former president of America, Mr. Bush, I love him on human level, very nice person, very straightforward, very honest, not sort of a nice smile and something hiding here, not that kind of person. So I love him. But his policy, Iraq, Afghanistan, his policy is a quite, I think quite big mistake. So after his sort of Iraq policy started, Iraq crisis started, another occasion, and then he still is the president, my meeting, and I told him, friendly, I love you, I respect you, however, some of your policy is concerned, I have great reservation. He smiled. So like that, in spite their sort of top sort of experts, advisors, I think still they are not sort of catching the reality, right? Not understood the reality because lack of holistic approach or holistic view. Simply, if you pick up Saddam Hussein, if Saddam Hussein eliminates, then all problems solved. The reality, not that simple. Okay. And violence, once you commit violence, unexpected sort of Saifi effect, consequences often happen. So therefore, it is much safer right from the beginning, avoid violence. Next question?
My name is Tripti, His Holiness, and I represent the Asahi Shimbun, a Japanese newspaper. I wanted to know, it's been a while since you devolved political authority. How do you look back from the time you devolved political authority, and what is the agenda of the Tibetan General Meeting that is proposed in Dharamshala later this month? Thank you.
Hasan. Actually, I came this university, talk or interact with students, not media people. But I think now, this I think maybe one exception now. I would like to answer, to respond that. I always say, believe and also say, express, world belongs to humanity, not individual. Sometime in America, I express America belongs to about 300 million of American people, not Republican or Democratic Party, like that. So, one time in Japan also, I expressed, Japan belongs to Japanese people, not emperor. Of course, I have deep respect and admiration for Japanese emperor. So then, people should govern a country. Then, the democratic system, people choose their leader and give that individual the responsibility at limited period. If that person, he or she, truly fulfill the people's wish, then another term. Otherwise, you can even necessarily say no confidence for the board or change. So that's the proper way, rule the country by the people. So, since my childhood, I found our existing Tibetan government system too much power in individual hand. I noticed that since my childhood. So, come out 1959, 60, we start once work for democratization. Then about 11 years ago, we already achieved elected political leadership. And my position, then semi-retired position. Then last year, the Tibetan community outside in free country looks quite sort of mature to choose their own leader. So then I thought, now this is the right time. I should retire completely, hand it over all my religion authorities. And my retirement, not only my own retirement, but also almost 4-century-old tradition, the Dalai Lama institution automatically become head of both temple and spirituality. Now that ended. Voluntarily, happily, proudly, I ended. So 5th Dalai Lama started that. Now 14th Dalai Lama now ended that. So I'm very happy. So now next question. I think one student.
Good afternoon to the Holy Highness and the other dignitaries here. I have a question that says how to apply this violence.
Could you please be louder?
I have a question to how to apply or to increase this concept of non-violence in the upcoming generation. As I see, there's a lot of poverty, a lot of fight for every basic need in our country. So, it is at the moment it is roti, kapra and makan, and no ideals for ethnic values. So, how do I inculcate or apply this or help the people to develop it? Thank you.
Now, non-violence does not mean we accept every sort of level of difficulties or injustice. We have to fight for our right. We should not let success, injustice. Okay. So opposing injustice, not violence. If you let continuously injustice, is violence. Clear. So, your daily life, effort, fight for your own right to overcome your problem, your suffering through non-violent way is, say, your right. You have to do that. My own Gandhiji, one of the, in modern time, promoter of non-violence. That does not mean he obeyed what sort of existence of injustice things. He lead the struggle. So, and then also you see sometimes you see misunderstanding, forgiveness. So people often used to ask me, forgiveness and forgiveness. If you forget their wrongdoing, there's no basis for forgiveness. You realize their mistake and take appropriate action to oppose that, to stop that wrong action. But without anger, without a negative ill feeling towards that person. That's forgiveness. Clear? So on our own case, we never sort of let develop negative feeling towards some of these Chinese officials. But we opposing their sort of wrong sort of injustice or worse, without anger. Clear. That we can do. That's the proper way. Clear. Some answer for your question? Good?
Thank you, Your Holiness. So one question, I am Mohammed Aschad from Faculty of Education. So you are a symbol of peace, you are a messenger of peace, you are regarded as a messenger, as a symbol of peace. But for the past month, a bloodshed and violence is taking place in Myanmar, which led to the worst form of human tragedy in the history. But unfortunately, we could not hear a single statement from your side condemning the violence. Sir, please answer this question.
Yes, very, very unfortunate sort of event, and some part in Burma. When I heard that, of course, for me, there's not much way to approach Burmese government. You see, Burma, Buddhist country, but never allowed me pilgrimage to their country. Frankly speaking, I have more freedom to visit Christian countries or some Muslim countries, not Buddhist country. Of course, except Japan, and also even South Korea, free country, but never allowed me to visit there. Many Korean Buddhists, they are very, very eager to my visit there. Yeah. And also Taiwan. Some time ago, I had opportunity to visit Taiwan, but recently, even transit, short stop, also not possible, like that. So Burma, only channel I can approach is Aung San Suu Kyi. Last few years, when she was in house arrest, I had some sort of, through third person, I had some sort of contact. So recently I met in England personally. So therefore, after this crisis, I wrote a letter to Aung San Suu Kyi. She should do something. No reply up to now. Then also my representative in Delhi. So I asked my representative at Delhi to approach Burmese embassy here. Now, how long since our approach? No, about 4 weeks. No sort of meeting like that. So we have no, even if it's just a channel to approach. So helpless, only prayer. That's all.
We have some written questions here.
Yes. Please.
How does this? How do we control anger or conquer anger, and how do we cultivate finer qualities and fight negative characteristics within ourselves?
I have one stories in 50s. I was in Tibet. One my driver quite short temper. One day, you see, he carried some work underneath the car. So some way his head hit. So he lose his temper and further hit. Boom, boom, like that. Suppose you see, he angry mind feels he gives some punishment to that car. Result, more pain, more suffering. So sometimes I think some of you may have experienced too much anger develop them. Sometimes do it like that. What use? Oh, too much anger comes, then we actually become mad. Like that. So you see, anger apparently, as I mentioned earlier, brings some energy, some boldness, but that energy is blind energy, more destructive nature rather than constructive. So as you're thinking this line, then you deliberately try to restrain anger. Now here, anger usually comes from emotional level. We are human beings. Other animal, when emotion develop, no counter force. We are human beings. This marvelous brain. So some sort of destructive emotion, some emotion comes. We have the ability to judge what kind of emotion beneficial, or what kind of emotion harmfulness, harmful. Make distinction. Then these as a constructive emotion should further sort of strengthen. The destructive emotion should try to reduce. That's the responsibility of our intelligence. So when anger comes, emotional level, then use intelligence. What happens? What use this sort of anger? Any help to solve the problem? No. If you properly analyze. So without anger, I have to deal this problem. Without anger, realistically, wisely. So that's the only way. I also do that. Sometimes anger comes. Then use my intelligence. Then show me, oh, that's wrong. You should behave like a human being. Should not behave like animal. Clear? Next question.
In your opinion, what is the definition of success in contemporary time?
I think there's a variety, many levels. How can you say? Not difficult. But I think reasonable or say, I think because of that reasonable kind of satisfaction, or proper sort of satisfaction, then maybe that we can consider success. Like that. Then next question.
Does the Buddhist monks' action in Burma, Myanmar, according to you, is it justified for, that they are disciples of the Lord Buddha?
Detailed thing, really we need more further research. I was told, you see, recently once of the Urdu newspaper, you see, appeared one photo. Actually, that photo, I think 2 years ago, in one Tibetan area, serious earthquake, and few hundred Tibetans died. Then some monk, you see, around that area, they come to that place and helping. So I was told, one picture, several people's body, dead body, and some monk. That, you see, described Buddhist monk, you see, killed Muslim brothers, sisters. Actually, wrong information. Just this morning, I met some, you see, Muslim brothers, sisters. See, they told me like that. So they totally supposed today because of misinformation, like that. But if some Burmese Buddhist monk actually involved to torture some Muslim brothers, sisters, it's totally wrong. Yes, yes,
Um, do you not think that it is the system of capitalism which is the main reason for turbulence in the world?
That also difficult to say. I myself, since my visit Peking in 1954 and 55, I learned Marxist socialism. So I very much attracted. So still, as far as socio-economy theory is concerned, I am Marxist. I am Buddhist Marxist. Maybe Buddhist Marxist may be a little wiser than simply materialistic Marxist. Capitalism, look, West. Capitalism, you see, actually provide individual freedom, the democratic country, you see, rule of law, and give opportunity every individual. So individuals what's the human creative nature, right? Creativity, nature of human creativity, let you see carry these sort of individual initiative. So that's why very successful. But meantime, capitalism, why you see I have more sort of attraction towards socialism, Marxist socialism is Marxist theory in the money matter. You see, Marx theory very much concerned about equal distribution. Not only interest about how to make profit, but rather equal distribution. So that shows moral values, moral ethics. Whereas capitalism only is concerned about how to increase sort of profit. However, in the capitalist countries, democratic country, and rule of law and free press, free information, the government accountability to the people. So much safer. Now those totalitarian system combine capitalism. That's really difficult, very difficult, isn't it? Like that. So I think today in China, a lot of injustice. Because you see, without proper law, rule of law, when you have power, you are free, you are above law. Very difficult. Next question? Yes. One lady.
Good afternoon, His Holiness.
Louder.
Good afternoon, His Holiness. It's always so pleasing to see you so cool and so contented and so satisfied all the time. How do you manage to remain so cool and stress-free, and especially that beautiful smile on your face? It's really lovely, sir. All the time, sir. And so how to keep, the daily life stress and worries at bay? It would be really helpful for me as well as all the people here if you could share your tips on the matter. Thank you.
basically, as I mentioned earlier, we are same. Everybody, 7 billion human beings, all have same ability. But the question is, whether you should know that ability and whether you should knowledge utilize that ability properly or not. That's the point. Otherwise, we all have the same sort of potential. Then, my own case, perhaps I think one, as I mentioned earlier, my mother, very, very compassionate mother, really. Illiterate, villager, farmer, uneducated, but very warm-hearted person. I think one example, my mother is too kind to me, very, very kind. Of course, at that time when I was very young, 2 years old, 1 year, 2 years, I'm youngest. So usually you see mother pay much more sort of affection towards the youngest child, isn't it? Youngest child. So I received maximum sort of affection from my mother. Then, as a villager's child, boy, no toys, nothing to play. Occasionally my mother, you see, brought me, took me on her shoulder, like that. So then I feel very happy, like that. And then I hold my mother's ear. If I want to this side, I do that. This side. So my mother's movement, the young, foolish child control, like that. If mother didn't listen my wish, then I shout. So my mother too kind to me, so I a little bit spoiled child. Okay. I think I am one human being who received maximum affection at that age. So that I think still I feel I have certain amount of love, compassion, of these sort of human values. Firstly, I learned from my mother. Since I received maximum sort of affection from my mother, so I have more ability to show affection to others more easily. Then, of course, training or knowledge about Buddhist psychology. That also, now some scientists also showing genuine interest about Buddhist psychology. Firstly, make some kind of map about mind, about emotion. Then, with fuller knowledge about the map of emotion, mind, then better to equip how to deal with these different emotions. So that also immense benefit. I think basically everybody has the same potential. Think more, intelligence, like that. Otherwise, it's nothing special there. Nothing special, like that. And then perhaps, since I become refugee, actually, at age 16, I lost my freedom. Then age 24, I lost my own country. So, over 60 years, my life, difficult life. But that actually immense help to keep inner strength, inner peace. So that I must be grateful to the Chinese communist sort of what's the ruthless sort of what's the attitude that really strengthening my sort of inner strength. Very good. So I hope you should also that kind of experience. Then you maybe become more hardened I often, you see, telling when I meet some Indian friend, India, now over 70 years, you already got freedom, independence. But the spirit during freedom struggle, Mahatma Gandhi ji and some other freedom fighter, their spirit, fearless, selfishness, truthful, honest, that kind of spirit still need in this country. So should not feel some kind of complacency there. Complacence. That sometimes is spoiled. Okay, thank you. Indeed, I'm very happy having this opportunity. Now then, okay, one lady, last question.
Yeah. Your Holiness, you were talking about the hypocrisy of countries who
Please
bully us
hold.
to obey.
Yeah.
Okay. You were talking about the hypocrisy of countries who bully us to obey non-violence as an enforced ethic. We certainly do not feel empathy or forgiveness. All we feel is helplessness. And you were talking about inner strength. Isn't some show of outward aggression and strength also desirable at some points?
Oh yes, yes, of course, self-confidence. It's very essential. Optimism, willpower, determination, these are very much related with self-confidence. Self-confidence also, you see, based on reasons, based on fuller knowledge about reality. That kind of self-confidence is very positive, very good. But sometimes I respect Chairman Mao Zedong very much. 1954 autumn, I went to Peking. Then at least 5 to 6 months I stayed in Peking. So during that period, I had several sort of meetings with Chairman Mao. I really respect him. Later, he also treated me as his own son. I also feel like my father figure there, like that. But then, look, the Cultural Revolution. You see, these events shows his over self-confidence, without fuller knowledge about reality. Too much praising by his, surrounding people, too much praise him. So then, due to lack of self-discipline, then over self-confidence, over self-confidence. That's blind self-confidence. Okay. So we must make distinction. As I mentioned earlier, map of emotion. We have to make distinctions. Looks similar, like anger, positive anger, destructive anger. Closeness feeling, affection also constructive, destructive. So many varieties. These we have to, like external matters, with precise knowledge about, you see, each sort of particles, their sort of nature or their function. And then combine these different things, then again sort of different sort of functions, different sort of energy come. Similarly, our mind, our emotion, our thought, each thought different sort of function. Combine, join, different. So this, I think, important to know, to study, isn't it? Like that. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, properly. Small matter, like when you are sleep, sound, peaceful sleep, some mosquito come, then a little bit violent action, maybe solve the problem. More serious problem, through violence. Roughly, maybe some exceptions, but generally speaking, I think never solve the problem. That's my belief. So better, no matter how sort of difficult it is mentally, you must sort of restrain committing violence. Clear? I think one sort of was the one aspect like that. One aspect of violence is unpredictable. Once you committed violence, any questions? Written question? Verbal question? Oh, there. Yes.
A very good afternoon. Thanks to His Holiness for such an enlightening talk. As he talked about problem, that no one wants a problem, but to His Holiness, with all reverence, I want to ask that, don't you think one resents to non-violence to solve one's particular problem? Because in our present day world, no one is ready to listen to you unless and until you go for non-violence. And as Mahatma Gandhi has said, it's better to be violent if there is violence in your hearts than to put on the cloak of non-violence to cover the impotence. My second question is regarding the approach. So you talked about approach. So how to approach to the problem solver? For example, in Indian context, I'll talk about the northeast states and the Jammu and Kashmir state of India.
Side effect, often very negative. I often used to tell you publicly, the former president of America, Mr. Bush, I love him. On human level, very nice person. Very straightforward, very honest. Not sort of what's the nice smile and something hiding here. Not that kind of person. So I love him. But his policy, Iraq, Afghanistan, his policy, you see, quite, I think quite big mistake. So after his sort of Iraq policy started, Iraq crisis started, another occasion, and then he still is the president, my meeting, and we developed anger, fully developed, then some kind of over self-confidence, and anger brought some kind of blind energy. At that moment, you see, as I mentioned earlier, the proper sort of the judgment about reality no longer carry properly. So therefore, I think many wrong decisions, government level or company level or the family level, I think many the wrong decision actually, I believe, you see, carried when the decision maker's mind not properly balanced. Either too much attachment or anger. So therefore, I think if you analyze.
So how should they approach to the government to solve their particular problem? Thank you very much.
That's good question. So, if you have 100% conviction through violence can achieve your goal, then okay. But when